Hey everyone, it's FLAK with a certain franchise on the rocks. I've been sort of hunting around for a new FPS game to play, and today I'm going to be checking out CrossfireX, which also happened to want to do a sponsored video, so here we are. CrossfireX is a free-to-play tactical shooter exclusively on Xbox One Series X and S, and it just got a massive update, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But if you want all the details, click the link down below in the video description. For a free-to-play game, CrossfireX has a lot to offer. It's got a campaign, and you know how I love single-player stories, but I'm actually here to talk about multiplayer. The game is split into modern and classic playlists. Modern modes play like other popular titles, while the classic playlist restricts abilities like ADS and sprinting for kind of that old school feel. I did spend most of my time in the modern game modes, exploring staples like Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy, and Point Capture, similar to popular Conquest or Domination. CrossfireX also has some interesting specialty modes. In Spectre, you've got one team with the power to be invisible. They try to infiltrate and plant a bomb, while the other team tries to stop them. There's also Submarine, which is a wild hand-to-hand melee fest on board a sinking sub, and the orientation of the map actually changes while you're playing it. That was a really interesting experience. Gameplay in CrossfireX is fast-paced, particularly on Team Deathmatch and Point Capture. I love a good infantry brawl, and I was very pleased to find that here. It is important to note that the maps in CrossfireX are designed around the game modes instead of trying to make every mode fit the map, if that maybe sounds a little bit familiar. The result is a better tactical experience. For example, in Team Deathmatch, the arenas are small, which rewards players who learn the map quickly, find the right angles, and shine in close quarters combat. For this mode, there are 3 maps available in CrossfireX. Mexico pits teams against each other on the deserted streets of a barrio. This map features a bit of verticality and quite a few routes across the map. On Valley, players square up over a lava flow, and Transport Ship is stuffed with exactly the close quarters battles you would expect when you see a bunch of shipping containers. And I don't know what it is about games and us loving that, but I have yet to play a game that features shipping containers on a map that I did not like. I will say that I also like CrossfireX gives players a bit of spawn protection. You have a shield that lasts for a little bit, and there are actually automatic turrets to take out enemies who try to cheese your spawn. So a great move by the developers there. Point Capture gives you some breathing room as a game mode, but it does keep you focused on objectives. Uniquely, the GR Tower map features a multi-stage arena where you fight over an objective and then have to move to a new target in a totally new area of the map. I didn't know about this beforehand, so I just kind of jumped into it, wound up playing it, and that was honestly a surprise. It really kept things fresh, and you get to go down a zip line at one point. I thought that was a nice touch, well, for me anyway. But developers also just added a huge new update. It's called Babylon, and it adds a new mode called Occupation. And this is big for the CrossfireX franchise. This is 15v15 player combat over objectives on a huge map with vehicles. Now, this includes battle walkers, helicopters, turrets, and there's even like this giant tarantula mech thing that fires rockets all over the map if you manage to take over its control hub. The map is the largest to date for the franchise, and it's a great environment for the game's longer range weapons like sniper rifles. The walkers on the map are actually fun to use, and you can switch between 2 different fire modes. You've got miniguns for hitting infantry, and there's a heavy cannon for use against vehicles like the aforementioned helicopter. Now, you do move much slower with the heavy cannon equipped, so you do kind of have to learn how to balance that, when to switch between the 2 modes of fire. Just another skill for you to learn. Meanwhile, the helicopter puts you up in the gunner's seat. You can use this to rain fire down upon enemies, or you can of course also jump out of the helicopter and drop behind enemy lines for the risky flank. One of my favorite features from the mode is the respawn system, and I haven't really seen this in a game before, which was another surprise to me. This lets you select a spot to respawn within the area that your team controls. Now, if you're not careful, you'll wind up dead again, but you can use the feature to spawn into maybe the perfect sniper nest, or you can flank enemies trying to take objectives. Just remember that, of course, the same thing can happen to you, so watch your back and keep your ears open if you're in enemy territory. This feature also means you aren't sprinting across the map waiting for action in a glorified walking simulator. To keep the action going, on Babylon you'll find ammo crates to replenish your supplies, as well as armor and heavy weapons to handle enemy vehicles. On that note, CrossfireX also features a ton of different weapons. I actually went through, counted all of them. There are 39 primary weapons and 6 sidearms in the game. That is pretty impressive for something that is free to play. You've got a wide variety of options, from rifles to some machine guns to shotguns to sniper rifles. Most of these have real-world counterparts, so they should all seem pretty familiar to you. Most weapons feature a robust attachment system, and that lets you customize things like the barrel, the magazine, the sights, and more. Obviously, some weapons that could maybe tend to be a little bit unbalanced, like automatic shotguns, you can't really change some of those, but when you are able to equip attachments, those do impact the way that your weapon handles, which just lets you further tailor your gun to your own preferences. My favorite weapon, the venerable Kalash 47, of course, meant to approximate the AK-47. It packs a punch, and it is a threat at any range. You'll notice mine is kitted out with the enhanced flash hider, which reduces recoil, a quick reload magazine, and a mid-range scope. If you look at the list, you might also spot some historical weapons like the Lewis gun and the Springfield 1903. The gunplay in CrossfireX is challenging, but it's also really rewarding. Guns have actual recoil, right? What a concept, and you'll have to learn the patterns to master them. I love that there's a chart for each weapon that shows what its recoil looks like, and it does this in both modern and classic playlists. There's also a fun feature called the shooting range, where you can test out your builds before you actually go and hit the servers. For the rest of your loadout, you'll pick a sidearm, a melee weapon, grenade, and specialties. The latter are basically perks that give you more control over your gameplay experience. So, for example, I like to run and gun quickly, so I've got specialties on that let me run faster, shoot faster, and make sure I don't have to really worry much about ammo. You can choose 3 of these at a time in CrossfireX. I was also pleased to see that you can cook grenades in CrossfireX. That is an ability that I have sorely missed in other games. Again, it just kind of bumps the skill ceiling up a little bit. Now, you unlock these weapons, attachments, and other gadgets and abilities with what are simply referred to as game points. These are earned in-game by completing challenges and, well, just playing the game. I was surprised to see devs actually give you quite a bit to get started, so you can unlock a couple weapons of choice as soon as you boot up the title. It's a nice system since you can choose what you want instead of grinding through a weapon category or something to finally get to the gun that you want to use. You can just reach out. If you got the points, you can grab it and use it. To keep you playing, CrossfireX does feature a battle pass, but they have both free and paid tiers. With this, you can earn new weapon and character skins, as well as game points and crossfire points. The latter is the premium currency used to unlock things like cosmetics for guns and characters from the game's 2 factions, Global Risk and the Black List. It took a little bit of time, but once I got settled in, I was having a lot of fun. And unlike other games out there right now, CrossfireX has been churning out updates chock full of bug fixes, balances, new content. I looked at it. They've been doing this just about every couple of weeks. Devs just pushed out an improved matchmaking system to get you in game sooner. They also completely overhauled the UI in the game, so Maybe you've tried CrossfireX in the past. Give it another go. There's been a lot of changes in the last couple of months, and based on everything I've read, it's a much smoother experience. If you've never played CrossfireX before and want to give it a try, again, it is free on Xbox One Series X and S. For this video, I was playing on the X, so click the link in the video description to learn more about CrossfireX and play today. Again, special thanks to CrossfireX for sponsoring this video, and if you enjoyed it, leave a like, if not a dislike. In the meantime, subscribe and tap the bell to stay up to date on interesting FPS games. And as always, thanks for watching.